Hi everyone, I'm Alex and I'm the founder of TravelSisters. We're a female-only travel community and usually we'd empower you to travel safely together by using our app. But lockdown kind of sucks. So here's our special coronavirus travel interview series. I'll be interviewing some interesting and fun travel sisters from our community living across the whole world. And if you want to join and have a travel chat with me as well, then make sure to join our group and let us know. Hi Kirsten, thank you so much for joining me today on this call. How about you start with introducing yourself briefly? Where are you on lockdown and how's the situation over there?
Hiya, thanks for having me to talk. So I'm Kirsten Sluggett, and I'm currently in lockdown in London. I live in South London.
Mm-hmm.
So lockdown in London is not probably as strict as other countries. So we're allowed to go out for our essentials, and we're allowed one form of exercise a day. So today I actually made the most of that. And in South London, it's full of great commons and parks. So I was able to go out for a nice walk. So you can go through the forest. There's a lovely lake, really nice areas to explore. So it makes the lockdown a little bit easier when you've got some really nice areas nearby to explore and find out, because I actually didn't know half of these existed before the lockdown. So the lockdown's given me a great excuse to find out new things and spend time in an area which normally I'm running around everywhere but my local area.
Yeah, perfect. A little bit of staycation in your own backyard, basically.
Yes, definitely.
Then next question, what are the 3 things that you recommend someone to do in your area or in London?
So I live quite close to the city of London, so I'm only about half an hour on the tube. So whenever friends come to visit, I always sort of go into town, and London's such a big place, it's really hard to do it justice just with 3 places. But the SOUTHBANK area is one of the places I tend to go to quite often. So SOUTHBANK is on the river, so it's got great views of the Westminster, Houses of Parliament, the London Eye, and it's full of food markets, so it's great to go to any time of the year, whether it's Christmas markets or summer outdoor sort of seating, and you can go there and drink ciders in the beer garden when it's not lockdown, obviously. But it's great just to sort of walk along the river and see all the sights. And then you can also from there get the Thames Clipper boat. So really cheap, just to sort of like getting on the tubes. So the boat goes all the way from Westminster up to Greenwich. So as you pass on the boat, you get to see all the skyline and of London. You get to pass really nice places, historic places like the Tower of London. And then Greenwich Mean Time's a really lovely afternoon. It's got an observatory there, so you can find out, and a museum, so you can find out all about the Greenwich Mean Time, learn the history about the sailing and how they sort of worked out how to get across the world, and all the clever clocks and how they created time. So it's a really fascinating afternoon. And then afterwards you can go sit on the Greenwich Hill, and it's got beautiful views over the skyline of London. So it overlooks the city of London, where the financial area is. So Canary Wharf is one of the tallest buildings. So you can sort of sit there, and I sometimes go to the shop and get a nice sort of little glass of wine and some fruit, and it's really nice place to sit there and have a little bit of a picnic, looking out at London. And then the third place, I tend to go to the Spitalfields Market. It's really nice to go to on a Sunday. It's a really vibey area, quite young, urban, full of outdoor places to eat, food markets, so you can get food from any country in the world. And then the Spitalfields Market is really good for just vintage clothes. well, it's known for the vintage clothes. You can spend hours sort of looking around. But it also has obviously more modern day sort of like clothes and lots of other stuff on the market stall. So it's a really nice place to go and visit and hang out on a Sunday afternoon.
Perfect. You basically just plan 2 days for someone visiting in London, so that's awesome. Then the next question, what are your top 3 favorite places that you have traveled to?
Bit of a tricky one because I have travelled to so many places. Lucky enough to have done sort of over 50 countries. So I had to think long and hard on this one. So for me, one of my top places would be South Africa. I recently went there, and South Africa is so many holidays rolled into one. So dependent on what you sort of want. It's got animals, safari, penguins, which is amazing and breathtaking to see. It's got wineries, so if you appreciate wine like I do, that's a great afternoon out. Wine and cheese tasting is fantastic.
Yes.
But it's also got beautiful places to hike, and it's got the most beautiful national parks along the coast. And the South African coastline is quite ferocious. The best waves and power sort of that you can see in some of these national parks have waterfalls and really, really beautiful. And then it's just got plenty to do. Cape Town has lots of like waterfronts and restaurants. So it's really nice to sort of have a day out. And then you've got your beaches if you want sort of a beach holiday as well. So it really is lots of holidays in one. Where else I would recommend the Philippines. So if you like to dive, which I do, the Philippines was amazing. Such clear waters, and I learned to do my PADI over there. So really, if anybody wants to learn, it's really cheap to be able to do it, and they've got great marine life, but they also have interesting ships. So I did a lot of wreck diving from the sort of World War, sort of some old Japanese planes and boats, and you get to dive down there and explore them all, and quite terrifying. But if you're like me, I do like to try and challenge myself. It's really, really amazing. And there's so many places and islands to go to. Can be a bit challenging getting around. So I would recommend plan your route and plan your transport, because to get from one island to another, probably will need to do car, bus, plane or ferry. So it's normally about 2 or 3 modes of transport to get around.
Wow.
And then the third place, I would probably say Peru. South America as a total place is amazing, and it's actually hard to pick which one. But Peru, I do love my history, and I went to Machu Picchu and I did the Inca Trail. And the Inca Trail is probably one of the most amazing and one of probably the most amazing experiences I've had. It was a 3-day camping experience, and just to sort of see how they built it, and the amazing size and of sort of the ruins and everything. It's really quite inspiring. So Peru has got so much history. Cusco, its sort of main city, lots to see and do, really vibey. And really easy to travel around Peru as well. So definitely would have to go back and explore more, because there's lots I didn't even have time to do.
Sounds amazing. And if money didn't matter, where would you go next?
Well, as I mentioned, South America really is fascinating, and I haven't been able to go to the Galapagos Islands yet. So the Galapagos Islands can be quite expensive, but I do love my diving, and I hear it's the best marine life that you can have as a diver. And you can obviously it's famous for its like super large sort of turtles and other sort of wildlife. So yeah, that would definitely be my number one spot to go to if money was no object and the lockdown was lifted tomorrow.
Fingers crossed for both.
I know, yes.
Then the last question, what is your top travel tip?
So I always recommend looking for free walking tours. So every country generally will have some sort of walking tour, and you normally just have to sort of tip the guide, and it's a fantastic way just to sort of get used to city, particularly if it's a big city. You normally always meet other sort of, I generally do a lot of solo traveling. So it's a great way to meet other sort of solo travelers. And quite often, like I did one in Mexico City and one in Lima, and quite often they include food. So you get to experience some of the local cuisine, get to know where's good to eat, where isn't good to eat. So it's a really easy way to get your bearings in a new country. And they normally have them in the morning and in the afternoon, and so there's normally quite a bit of choice, I would say. But yeah, definitely a top thing to do.
Love it. Yes. I would have actually never thought of having it as a top travel tip, but because I love doing them, as whenever I go to a new city, it's like, okay, free guided tour of XYZ. It's a great way to connect to other travelers as well, and the locals, because usually it's more or less a local that's doing the tour. So I've made good friends on these free guided walking tours, and it's great. Totally with you on that.
No, likewise, I've made friends with the guides and afterwards, and yeah, they just normally they're just so proud of their city, and that's why it's so interesting, because you're getting it really from that local perspective. So yeah, no, it's a really nice thing to do.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, and I hope lockdown gets lifted as soon as possible, really, and maybe I come with you to the Galapagos Islands.
Yes, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.